Hello, my name is Adam Ewing, Chief Academic Officer at TPH Academy, and today I want to talk to you about academic grit. In the athletic context, grit is waking up at 5 a.m. for practice or running drills until you get them right, staying after practice and catching balls with your quarterback until you get that connection. In an academic context, grit is the ability to sustain effort on difficult material like AP classes, AP calculus, or complex research papers, even when it becomes frustrating or boring. It is the refusal to let a bad grade or a difficult subject or define one's intelligence. So today I want to get into 5 ways to manufacture grit through academics. Number 1, embrace productive struggle. Think about this as your academic weight room. Just as a muscle needs resistance to grow, the brain needs productive struggle to build grit. How do you build productive struggle? Well, you encourage your students to take courses that are a little outside their comfort zone, where an A is not guaranteed, where a good grade is not guaranteed. They can do this by just taking a course, might be a little different. They can take a higher level language. They can take an honors course, an AP course, a college course, a trade course, but something that's going to really stretch them that they would see as hard. See, when a student breezes through an easy class, they are not practicing grit. They are practicing compliance. They're just doing what they're told. When they take a hard class and struggle to understand the concept, the act of sticking with it until it clicks, until they understand it, builds those neural pathways for perseverance, and they start developing grit. I want you to change how we frame difficult tasks or difficult homework and seeing them as a really heavy rep. These are reps for our brain. This is the weight room. Number 2, implement a revision cycle. This is game tape review. As athletes, we watch game tape to correct mistakes. Academics should function the same way. Let's not let a grade be the end of the conversation. It's just data. If a student gets a C on a paper or fails a quiz, the work isn't done. We can go back to the specific area and we can correct it. So we should require our students to analyze not that they got a bad grade, but why they got a bad grade, why they missed a question. Then they redo the work and they can rethink through the work, rethink through their process. Even if they don't get credit or they get partial credit, this teaches resilience. It shifts the mindset from I'm bad at math, a fixed mindset, to I missed a step and I can fix that, a growth mindset. So let's treat low grades as just a halftime adjustment. It's an opportunity to fix the strategy. It's not the final loss. Number 3, we need to connect academics to a why. Grit requires passion. Grit requires purpose. It's really hard to persevere at a goal that feels meaningless. So let's move beyond the getting a good grade and connect academic success to the student's larger identity as a disciplined elite performer. Elite athletes already have a strong why, so it shouldn't be that difficult to connect it to it. They have this why for their sport. But now we need to transfer the identity that I am a person who does hard things. We need to transfer that to the classroom, and it creates a sense of purpose and meaning, and it ties it to their why. Helping students identify how a specific subject, let's say physics, applies to their world. Let's say biomechanics can help me with my slap shot, or a long-term goal like taking these hard courses will help me play quarterback for Stanford, and it requires a specific academic profile. This ties it to a win in the athlete's mind, in the student's mind, and it ties it to their why. Number 4, normalize setbacks as a part of the process. In sports, losing a game or missing a shot is normal. In school, failure is also often stigmatized. So let's publicly praise effort and strategy rather than intelligence and talent. When a student fears looking dumb, they avoid challenges. I'm not going to put myself out there. I'll look like an idiot. So the last thing that we want, the last thing that colleges want, is an athlete or a student that avoids challenges. So by taking academic struggles and openly saying, I failed this test the first time. I went back and looked at what I did wrong. I fixed it, I studied, and then I passed. You normalize the effort that it takes to break through adversity and eventually succeed. So let's share stories of academic failures that later led to success. This will help reduce the fear of risk-taking. And then finally, number 5, be deliberate and have a deliberate practice and routine. Grit is not a historic, heroic burst of effort. It's a mundane consistency. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. So establish non-negotiable academic routines, similar to a training schedule. Save that time for the thing that is really hard. Good focus time where you know I am going to dedicate it to this class that I took that is really stretching me, and it is non-negotiable. Doing the work when you don't feel like it, it's the definition of grit. That's what I want for my kids. I want you to do the things that you don't want to do and get comfortable doing them so you can later have the things that you want. A set routine removes motivation from things, and it forces them to rely on discipline. And you can ask any coach, they'll take a kid who is disciplined and specifically self-disciplined over a motivated kid because motivation fades. At TPH, we do this by our study, train, play model. It allows students to focus. This is your focus time for that specific task. And then they can break down their study time to the really hard tasks that meet their criteria. I can use Monday to focus, because that's when I'm the most focused, to focus on the harder classes that are more difficult, and I can exercise and build. It blocks out the distractions and it allows you to just focus in on the enemy and the task at hand. These are the 5 ways to manufacture grit. Why does this matter? The landscape is changing, and for an elite athlete, academics is a new playing field. Coaches are recruiting well-rounded individuals who do not mind challenging themselves, who do not mind pushing themselves. They want to see something that's going to bring something to their team, that are going to bring those leadership skills. And more than anything, they want to see something when the chips are down, they're not going to fold. When things get hard, when they break out of their routine, when they separate from their family, they have the grit, they have the adversity to keep pushing through, and they're going to see things through to fruition. They don't want the quarterback anymore who can just throw and carve up a defense. They want the quarterback who can throw, have a good game, put the team on his back, let them know that the chips aren't down, but then can go back on Monday and grind through a 20-page thesis paper when they're tired and will still show up to class and show up for their team. That is the grit that gets them recruited. That is the grit that keeps them eligible. And that is the grit that makes them elite. Thank you. I hope this was helpful.